All right, my name's Kerry. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to Zen Bitch Slap. Today we're just gonna do I picked a reading that just picked me. It's on page 381. Winner takes all, winner takes all. And I'm just gonna read a paragraph. It starts with today. But before I do, I'll just tell you this winner takes all. It starts off, it says legally blind but no longer alone. She found a way to stay sober, raise a family, and turn her life over to the care of God. And then the paragraph that kind of jumped out at me was on 381. I'm going to read it. It says, today I'm doing things that I never dreamed possible. More importantly, it is the peace and serenity I feel inside that keeps me coming back. I have been through hard times in and out of sobriety. But before AA, it didn't matter how good things got. I always had a feeling that something was wrong. Since AA, it doesn't matter how bad things get. I I always have a feeling that everything is going to be all right. And I will just say that that's been my experience. Um, it always turns out all right, even when in the midst of things it seems horrible. I don't want this, blah, blah, blah. You know, it always works out. So, Paul, over to you.
Thank you, Kerry. Thanks, everyone, for your attendance. This is a regular meeting we have twice a week. And I would say she's describing being on a new basis, yes? The old basis was it didn't matter how good things got. I always had a feeling that something was wrong. So that was the old basis. The new basis described as it doesn't matter how bad things get. I always have a feeling that everything is going to be all right. That's a new basis. Yeah. So that's the bottom line. And then a lot of stuff happens on that basis. And so the basis of her life was shifted. And then when she talked about the three things and she had turning her will and life over to the care of a higher power, I would have put that first, let's say. And then the kids and the marriage and everything starts to work. So I would say first things first would be the recognition of the unmanageability, really the cause of it being us trying to manage, really. And that us is suspect because it's really self is managing. Have you ever seen the papers that Joe and Charlie put out on the fourth step inventory? There was one edition where they would have self above the four columns. So self was managing our life, and then the four columns would be there. And so you could see how self's managing our life made our life unmanageable. Yeah. And that we needed a new employer. I don't know if they still have that in the printouts, but they used to have it. They'd have self as the top, and then they'd have the four columns and so on and so forth. So basically, we had a life, knowing it or not. A lot of it's without us knowing it because we're identified as self. So we think we're running our life, but some aspect, mental aspect, let's give it the name self from the big book, is running our life. So any life run on self's will. It doesn't say our will, does it? No. It doesn't say any life run on our will with the help from self. No, it's self's will. So as we talked about yesterday, an abject faith, and a lady was talking about the definition of abject, which is powerless and servile. What an incredible description of faith in self, what it produces in us. It produces a sense of powerlessness and servile. We're enslaved. Yeah, it's incredible, literally. How clear that description of what had defeated us was. I just feel like it's gotten confusing. Yeah. And it was confusing with them because one moment They say self has defeated us. The next moment they say we're the problem. Yeah. Which is it? It can't be both. Yeah. So the view isn't consistent in the book. It's showing two sides, which is another topic called duality, but it's showing two sides. One side, you can look at the problem as being you. You're the manufacturing of your own misery. Or the other view is that self, something foreign, is manufacturing misery through our life. Now, I'm in the camp of the second one, that something foreign is that which is manufacturing the misery. Something foreign is the problem, not us. And how there's a confusion about it is the act of being identified as self. Yeah. And you and I may not believe we're in that act, but we're under that act. The head that we're listening to is in the act of being identified as self. Completely, I feel. So we may not be, but we're under that. So we're living under that view of self-centeredness. Yeah. And that, I feel, is what us squirming and being uncomfortable and irritable and restless is a sign that something foreign to us is being imposed on us. Yeah. Just like if you had a suit that was too tight, it doesn't matter. It's an Italian suit, $3,000, but it doesn't fit. You'd be squirming around and you'd be uncomfortable in it. Yeah. And you'd be trying to get some fucking relief by stretching and shit. That's a sign that the suit doesn't fit. Yeah. We can adapt like cockroaches, but maybe we adapt too much. Yeah. Maybe we just have to admit the suit doesn't fit. Oh, but I spent $2,000 on it and I got it in Bologna or whatever. It doesn't matter. The history of it, it doesn't fit. Yeah. So, but if you think it's your skin, what are you going to do? Like most of the shit, something was bothering the body. So I was getting tempted to take something like antihistamine or something. So I read the target effect that it was looking for, which was masking the symptoms.
Right. That's what I want to do.
That was the insane thing. That's a solution, masking the symptoms. We're masters of that. Yeah. I don't want to mask the
Fucking
symptoms
mess.
anymore.
I do.
I want to get down to the underlying causes and conditions. So I'm not what's lying under the underlying causes and conditions. It's
A
fucking
mess.
suffocating. Yeah, it is. And you can't blame people for doing what they're doing based on the condition they're under. Yeah. Of course, if I felt this was going to be a forever condition, I would buy into something that promised me a short-term effect. Yeah, I would. You know how much shit you put up with if you shoot cocaine? If you don't have a rich and you don't have a medical uh, a medical team with you, it's hell. You get a huge rush and then the coming down sucks. Yeah. And then the only answer is doing another shot. And you start doing one shot, and then you're waiting for 20 minutes. Then it becomes 10 minutes. Then it becomes 5 fucking minutes. It's unbearable. And it's like bing, 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 bing. And most of the time is down. You're bummed out completely. Yeah. Yet you keep doing it. It's insane. Yeah. It's fucking insane. But if there's a belief that this is a hopeless state of mind and body, not a seemingly hopeless, but a hopeless state of mind and body, you're going to be doing that shit. You'll do almost anything. You'll pay almost any consequence tomorrow to get a temporary sense of relief now. Really, it's insane. You know how many times I bought shitty coke and I still shot it? I'd shoot it. It was fucking weak. I'd shoot it again. And it was still fucking weak. Yeah. That's not something you do. You're driven to that behavior. Something has driven you to the point that one story is just amazing. Yeah. My friend and I, he's passed away. My friend Cy, he was still using when he passed away. I had stopped like 36 years before. It's amazing. And we went to some heavy metal 3-day event to meet some guy on a little walk bridge to buy supposedly some opium. So we go there and we buy the opium, go back to the apartment. Our girlfriends are on outside and we're in the bedroom, and we cook the opium and we shoot it. Yeah. And we're trying to talk ourselves into thinking something is happening. We're going, hey, have you felt it yet? And like this. And then my girlfriend came in and she smells, she smells, she says, who's cooking the incense? Who's got the incense? I'm going, what? Yeah, it smells like incense. So here's the revelation we don't want to hear. So what do my friend Cy and I do? We shoot another bit of incense into our fucking arms with the hopes it's opium. Yeah, that's not a common behavior. Yeah, you don't just appear there. You're driven there. Shit has to happen for you to be driven to that point with the hopes of it having some altering your feeling quality. You're going to shoot up fucking incense. It was insane. So, uh, how can, where does the history, where does your role in it end and seeing self's role in it? Because most of the fucking history is a life run on self-will. You're basically just a nameplate on it. That's basically all you are. And you look like everyone else who's ever been driven by the same fucking drive. Yeah. Where's the uniqueness of Paul, the long-lasting, independent, separate entity? Yeah. So, yeah, here she's had a shift. This isn't it is phenomenal, but it can be manufactured through the program of recovery. The program recovery says after you do the first 11 steps, you're going to have a spiritual awakening. And probably before you're even halfway through, you're going to have a spiritual awakening, which is going to be sufficient enough to tip the scales so that a new basis starts getting established. All you need to do is sincerely attempt to take that basis, and then in time it gets established. As long as you just stay sober or keep getting sober, sobriety is necessary. A new basis is going to take over, and she describes it. The old basis is she felt wrong when everything was going great. Now she feels great when everything's not going great. Yeah, that's a new basis of living. It doesn't go through all the specific details of what's going on and what was great, what was bad, what was good. It's how it was received. Her ability to receive life has changed. Yes, this is the promise of recovery. Yeah. What does it pivot on? Losing interest in self, right on page 63. It says all of these remarkable things follow when there's a sufficient loss of interest in self. And humbly have people just like us observe something and they've passed it on to us, that self cannot get out of self. So when I'm under the act of being identified as self and that tries to get out of self, that's more self. Yeah. Great statement. Self can't get out of self. How did it come about? They observed just that. People who are doing what we're doing right now before realized Self was trying to get out of self. So the problem had adapted to the environment of the solution and now was being more the problem, masquerading as wanting to get out of the problem. What? Yeah. What can it do? It may not be able to drive you to drink, but it's going to limit the effects of sobriety. Definitely. It's going to limit the effects of sobriety because your present moment of sobriety is still going to be umbilically connected to past. You're going to feel the guilt and shame and remorse based on all the shit you did before you got sober. Yeah. So its ability to affect you right now is limited now, but it uses the past and the future to affect us. By what? The broadcasting of the propaganda station, unclear channel, K self. Yes. And it just wants you to buy its product again. That's all it wants. Because once you drink, it's a whole different ballgame. You're on a new basis. You got to go to a meeting. Yeah. How many things are possible if you call someone up before you drink? And how many things are possible when you call someone up after you drink? The possibilities shrink dramatically. Yeah. Unbelievably. Why is that? Because the genie has been let out of the bottle. And you can ask it nicely to go back in. It ain't going back in. And it has more than 3 wishes for you. It may have a lot of wishes for you that you're not going to like, yet you're going to be powerless to stop it. So you're going to need us, the community, to intervene by going to a meeting and take shelter in the we, because the me is defenseless against the first drink at that time. Yeah, you're fucked. Everyone becomes a great fucking knowledge master of after they drink, why they drank. Let's have the knowledge that keeps you from taking the first drink. Now that's serviceable knowledge. You don't know how many people I meet and they tell me exactly why they drank again, but they drank again. What's that fucking knowledge doing? Yeah. So we have this platform. We enjoy it. We enjoy the space of everyone, the community of recovery. But just putting an idea out that I didn't feel, I had never really seen it presented. And I hope it'll appear to you to be a clarification of the exact nature of the wrong. And I hope that you get a sense of that which has defeated you as foreign to you. Because that's what opened the door for me to be free from it. I had to see that it wasn't me, or all my attempts to be free was as it, yeah. And I was actually a poster child for the statement self can't get out of self. Because that's exactly what was going on until it was revealed to me. Self is not me. Far out. Yes. It has never been unrevealed for the last 29 years. I think it really came clear in the 7th year. So yeah, here we are, passing the message on. Yeah. So thanks, Carrie. Great reading. The lady went under the effects of this program and was brought to a new basis, a new freedom and a new happiness, a new attitude and a new outlook. What is an attitude and outlook from? It's from an underlying basis. That's how you look at things, yes? If you're selfish or whatever, from self-centeredness, you look at all the cups or glasses as half empty. Yeah. If you see it, it's half full. Yeah. This is what happens. Yeah. For me, that attitude of fucking entitlement was so strong, it became necessary for me to have a little prayer. Every time something good happened to me, I'd say, thank you, God, or whatever. That was more than enough. Yeah. Because I was a fucking selfish motherfucker, seemingly. And I forgot miracles in 20 minutes, and I remembered seeming slights for 30 years. So there was some work to do to assist that change of basis. Yeah. I would feel for many of us in the beginning it was gratitude lists. Yeah. Gratitude lists were very, very important, I felt, because I wasn't grateful. I wasn't a grateful character. Yeah. So uh, these are the suggestions that are offered. If you follow them, they'll become habits and they will be the foundation of the habit of being sober. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Thank you. Yeah. Kerry, whoever's running
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes,
There you
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Paul. No, what not much to add to that. I mean, does anybody want to say anything? I mean, the only thing I can say is that yeah, all I can say is that my life is better without drugs and alcohol. And as far as the spiritual deal, I never really felt like spiritual. Um, I was interested in reading about people, though. I loved reading about spiritual people because I just like the stories. Like some people like sci-fi, I like spiritual. You know what I mean? And and it led me, AA to me was extremely boring because I didn't really put that much into it. Very self-centered in that. I'm gonna finish, John, and then I'll call on you. I'm on a roll. I was so self-centered that like yeah, being home, I went through all that, homelessness and but it's almost being homeless like I wasn't too worried because I came from a good family and I always kind of in the back of my mind think they were gonna bail me out, but it finally got to the point where I realized they weren't gonna bail me out and I was pissed. That's when I fucking went off the rails, man. When they wouldn't, I'm like dying on the streets, basically, like in Los Angeles. I mean, literally fucking starving. And they still wouldn't help. And then long story short, uh, I just decided, I had people praying for me. I have a Catholic nun, all this Catholic people praying for me. And I thought, well, there might be something to that. I don't know. I'm still here. But what happened is like I don't even know what happened other than I just got a job, went to work, and didn't drink. And when I went back, I mean, I'll be celebrating 9 years on the 18th of July here in about a week. But before that, I had like I don't know how many years, and I still went back because I got complacent. I don't really like AA that much, to be honest. I mean, I go to it because it works. And I know Paul will say, be of service. And, for me, being of service is just, trying not to be a dick, which is hard for me sometimes, whatever. Uh, but it's a journey. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, what can I say? Uh, I pretty much have gotten what I thought I wanted. And now I'm just, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just living one day at a time. So, John, please come in and share. Thank you.
go. Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks,
There
Karen. It's really good to see you. And Paul, I really like seeing you. You're a wonderful guy. I had my questions about these emotions. Where do they reside? Are they thoughts? They're thoughts. Everybody that I've read distinguishes thoughts from emotions. Where are they? Why are they? Why do they bleed into each other? Why does one emotion seem to affect all my emotions? And why does naming the emotion lessen its effects? I don't get it. I don't understand how it works, but it does. And I'd love to hear you riff on emotions. Thank you.
Well, we have a sense oriented spacesuit, right? The body. Yeah. So a large form of communication or expression of the body is emotions. Some are the emotion of fear has a very, very important role because it triggers the take flight or fight uh, energy so that we can survive, so to speak. Yeah. Now, I don't believe there's a place of called emotion. There's senses or feelings that happen. And because we are conscious or we're sentient, we pick up these almost like a ripple in a frequency or like a sound wave. Yes. So to me, emotions have more like a wave-like quality, and there's an attempt to translate the emotions by the head, probably seeking to try to control and manage them, which it doesn't do a very good job. I don't think it has even the ability to recognize the difference between most emotions. It mixes up excitement and anxiety quite a lot, and a lot of times anger is a very, very powerful thing. And then the head interprets it and you act out and you get into a jail sentence. But if you've been AA, a lot of meetings of AA were caused by anger. People got mad at the meetings they were going to and they started a new meeting. So you can see anger was very, very constructive in that use. So to me, the head is wanting to know what's going on, and those frequencies or waves of feelings uh, are really untranslatable by the head. The head just doesn't it's like reading an emotion like braille. It doesn't really know what the fuck it's talking about. What won't admit it. Yeah. So you're feeling quite a lot, and the head finds solace when it gives name and form to things. Yeah. Which I don't believe it captures anything quite well. So that's why. But the whys, I don't care. There's just feelings going on. Uh, the feeling of fear is very rare now. Yeah, because let's say I have a condition in my chest that gets scary. So there's a fear there that's valid, and it doesn't vibrate like mental anxiety. So you can tell the difference. I hope you'll be able to discriminate over time. But the mental anxiety plays the instrument of fear, but it's not fear, it's mental anxiety. And I would say most people I meet in recovery do not have a clear distinction between mental anxiety and fear. So we attempt to emphasize that here a lot. We're calling a lot of mental anxiety or fear that's been induced by something as fear. That's not fear. Yeah, fear is a valid emotion meant to come up when there's an apparent threat. Yeah, not a past threat or a future threat, not an imagined threat, but a threat. Now, I've been in the water once when I saw a shark not far from me. And that time, the fear triggered adrenaline. So a huge amount of adrenaline started shooting through my body. And I swam with the knowledge that it could catch me any second. And I didn't look back and I swam to shore. And then I was just drenched with adrenaline. Yeah. That was an experience of fear. That one. Most of what I I used to call fear. And I think when I'm speaking to others, they're calling fear is not fear. It's mental anxiety. It's a mimicking of fear without an apparent threat. Yes? It's a mimicking of fear. So it fools the system. Yeah, but usually not much. I usually never have adrenaline dropped through mental anxiety. Yeah. But some people do. They have panic attacks. But I never had that. So I don't know. That's not intimate to me. But I have seen what is mimicking or is proclaimed to be fear, and it's not. It's mental anxiety. And if you want to be clear about things, please be clear about that. And stop talking and saying mental anxiety is fear, because it isn't. Yeah. It would help. It would be helpful. So the other whys I don't really care about. I do feel emotions run on a frequency and their appearance is much different than thoughts. Thoughts come up like a small bubble and pop, and information drops. Emotion is more like a wave-like effect. Yes? Yeah. So sometimes it takes you over, sometimes it's moving through you, sometimes it lingers, but there's no head or tail where you can say one feeling stops and the other feeling stops. I don't see how, if you were like trying to cut meat and emotions would meet, and you'd have a difficult time where to cut the meat. Yes. Because there's no tail or head in an emotion. It's not like, oh, it's 8 feet long and 30 feet wide and 2 feet deep. It's not like that. Yeah. But thoughts are more like a staccato, bam, 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 bam. They pop, information downloads, pop. Yeah. So the communication of emotion is different. And so the translation by the head concerning emotion and thoughts, it has full-fledged interpretation of them. It can't translate feelings well. Yeah. Because that is what the head is doing. The head is interpreting out this event that we call our life. Now, some people believe it's very good at interpreting the thought realm, but most people have to admit it sucks at trying to interpret the emotional realm. Yeah. I think it sucks on both levels, tell you the truth. Yeah. So there you go. I think it's part and parcel. The most important thing is to see these are aspects of a failed system, and that failed system is foreign to you. You're not listening to you. You're listening to a failed system, usually. Yeah. To me, that produces an incredible amount of possibilities. And one of them was the most important. I can be free from it. Yeah. Like it says, please relieve us of the bondage of self. Self is not an appendage of ours, it's a bondage. Yeah. We're bound to something other than us. It's not an appendage. I don't believe ego is like your third arm or something. I think these are mental fucking contraptions. Yeah. So,
So emotion
okay.
is not of the self, but emotion is of the body.
It's felt through the body, of course. That's the instrument that gets played by emotion. Yes. The mental state doesn't pick up the emotional. When it translates the frequency or the vibration of emotion, it's like, have you ever listened to someone speaking in another language and the person who's translating sucks?
Yes.
Yeah. So the person seems to be speaking with such certainty in French, but when the person who's trying to translate English, it sucks. It doesn't even capture. Yeah. This is
Yeah. Got
the
it.
head's ability to translate emotions sucks. Yeah.
Well, it's getting a little clearer.
Well, that's the point. Yeah. Progress, not perfection. But where does the progress come from? Perfection. Perfection is the starting point of the progress we're experiencing. Yeah. Yes. We're experiencing progress from perfection, not towards perfection, from perfection. Yeah. So you tell me that many times when you were excited about something, your head says you're anxious about something. Yeah.
Well,
You're
yeah,
excited about going to Hawaii, but your head says, oh, you're worrying, 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 worrying. No, you're fucking excited.
yeah,
Yeah. Obviously, the emotional translation, because there was no middleman when you were young, you are having a very direct whack of emotion, where kids are much better at explaining how they feel than adults are. Completely, much, much better, aren't they?
yes,
They know when they're not getting what they want. They know when they're angry. They know they're this. They know they're that. There's not much fucking unclarity because there's no middleman trying to translate it all. And we're having life brought to us by a middle person called self. Yes. And it sucks interpreting emotions.
yeah,
And I humbly believe it sucks interpreting thoughts. Yeah, it's a failed system. What are you going to say? Why? You want to know if it's a failed system from the big book? All right. Uh, read Fear, page 60 something. Yeah. Why are you in so much fear today? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed us?
there you go.
Yeah. Do you think that was just an uncommon event of it failing us? No, it's a failed system. Self-reliance fails us at every point. Not only, oh, it was great until this 1 second, 1 day, 5 years ago. No, it pretty much sucks. Yeah. So read the book. Why are you in so much fear today? First of all, you're not. You're in so much anxiety today. Why are you in so much anxiety today? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed you? Yes. Okay. So self-reliance is a failed system that we seem to have imposed upon us because we keep listening to that which is in the act of being identified as self.
Yes,
Yeah. And we're hoping that will change for us to change. But AA changes us, and then that we lose interest in. Yeah. It doesn't take the regular, uh, it doesn't fucking work to change that. Changing self has a limited effect. Yeah. But changing us concerning self, like seeing we're not, has a huge effect. Yeah. Yeah. What were we doing when we were getting loaded? We were trying to change self all day. What the program does is changes us. Yeah. We lose interest in self. We lose interest in changing self. We've tried that for so many years. Now we've gained interest in us being changed. And the program brings about a spiritual awakening that changes us sufficiently to have an immunity to the first fucking desiring proclamations of self, the insanity that precedes the first string. We now are restored to sanity there. Yeah. Waiting for self to change is fucking bogus to me. Really. I mean, it's like an old dog. It can't learn that many new tricks. But we can change. Yeah. We can lose interest in self.
yeah,
Self can't, but we can, yes.
thank you.
Yeah. What is service? All that stuff that's the point. Bringing about a loss of interest in self so other things that are readily available can be revealed to us, not through self, but to us. Yes? I'm fucking tired of some person rushing to the door and getting every one of the Amazon packages first. Yeah. Yeah. I supposedly ordered it. I want to open up the fucking package. This is what happens. Yeah. Our basis changes, not self's. Our basis changes. Our attitude and outlook, not self's, changes. Our freedom and happiness are new. They're not of self. Yeah. We are, instead of trying to change how self feels, we're changing how we feel about self. That's what the program does. Yeah. And when the feeling of self is seen as foreign to us, I believe that's a huge, that's a plateau that the launching pad into the fourth dimension will be easily reached from. Easily reached from. If the launching pad is put on that recognition that what has defeated us is foreign, it's going to be easily reached the fourth dimension. Seriously. That's my belief in concerning all this. Yeah. And nothing has changed it in all these years. Yeah. How many amazing things have I heard to sort of hybrid with AA? And usually they end up drunk. Yes. We're going to mix Buddhism. We're going to mix this. We're going to mix that. Yeah. But we're not, see, we're trying to change self. Let the program change us. Yeah. Yeah. You know, does self want to be a great surfer, or does self want to be known as a great surfer? The self wants to be known as a great surfer. You want to look like you know something instead of look like however you do knowing something. Yeah. It's a whole different agenda we've been living under as if it was ours. Yeah. Do you really know what you like? Probably not in a lot of ways. You think you know what you like. Something told you what you like. Yeah. I'm very clear about some things I don't like. Romantic comedies. I don't like that. I'm very clear right now what I don't like. People have a trouble with it who come and see me because they want to introduce something to me and I don't like that. I know what I like and I don't like now. I do. Yeah. And I'm willing to just stand on it because what the fuck? Why not? Yeah. Oh, you should try something. Why? Maybe I don't want to try something. Yeah. Maybe I found something that works. That's what makes me happy. Oh, but something else could work. Maybe it could, but this is working. It's great. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Now the head is always, I have to try the next fucking thing. Yeah. So let this program change you concerning your idea of self. Yeah. And hope it's going to change that into a foreign occupation. So the possibility of being free can really, truly be realized. Really. Because it's not about being free as self, it's being free from self. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm stoked about it, man, for all these years, because it brings me to an open door that there's not even a room. It's just a huge fucking vista of possibility. Yeah. Can enjoy peace of mind. You never ever think, or you never believe a thought that tells you you're out of a moment, ever. You're completely here, sleeping, awake, uh, you know, mentally forgetting. You're always here, always now, no matter what the head tries to say. Yeah. You're established in something that's true, far out. You can live from there. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be of service. You'll be put to use. You won't even be choosing to be put to use. You'll be put to use. Yeah. 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 Huh. I think this is great news. So I'm going to sing this gospel every time, every chance I can get, if there's an interested audience. I'm not playing this, I'm not talking about this to most people because most people don't want to hear it. Yeah. What am I going to say? Let me break the news to you. Fuck that. Yeah. But you came here. So that implies to me you want to listen to something. So here you are. This is it. This isn't how Harold sees it, or Jimmy sees it, or even Paul sees it. This is how it's been revealed to me, through me. And I'm just passing it on. Yeah. I don't follow how you're doing usually. I don't have like a chip in you to tell me that you're traveling lighter or not. I have great faith in it. I expect you are. Well, why would you keep coming back? Yeah. Yeah. So these are, humble assumptions. And therefore, then we speak about it. Yeah. We've been defeated by something. We might as well be clear about that because its defeat is not just going to stay in the past. Yeah. It will use the past to presently defeat us. Yeah. So that's its nature, like a snake. No matter how nice to it, it may bite you because it's a snake. Yeah. So check the nature out of what has defeated you, and then you'll start finding out your own nature, which I believe is of spirit. I do. I do not believe you start and end as a body. I just don't. Yeah. I don't believe you have a start and end, really. Yeah. Do I command you to believe that? No. This is just a belief that I have. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
Yes, sir, Paul. There's two people. First, Diona, and then James D.
All right. Deona and James D. All right, Deona.
Hmm. Yeah, I wanted to share two things actually. Um, so I think I shared last time I was on the call, I shared that I had 8 years and now I have 2 months. Yeah. But I want to share something amazing that happened right as I was opening up my laptop. A piece of paper fell out of a container on the table, and I'm in Mexico, and it's Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's in Spanish, but it says expect miracles, right? And it's fluttering on the table, and I'm like, wow. And I'll share why that's important to me in just a minute. And then Carrie tells us to open up the big book to 381. And opposite 381, in the last paragraph, it says, expect a miracle. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my God, because I'm here for another month. I don't know where I'm going. I mean, well, no, I don't know where I'm going. There's an invitation. However, this message is everything to me. This message will sustain me. I truly believe that. Is it like a tug of war, like you talked about? Or maybe that was another Zoom that I was listening to because I listened to a lot of them. Yeah, it does feel like a tug of war at times. But what the other thing I wanted to share and what can feel frustrating, and I get angry, and then resentment comes in as I go to meetings. Doesn't matter where I go to meetings, it's the same thing. It's like self trying to get out of self for the most part. That's what I see. And here, that's not the message. And to me, that's what's going to give me long-term sobriety. I mean, I don't want to project into the future, but yeah, I mean, that's what grabbed me and pulled me back in. I let it pull me back in. I couldn't forgive myself for a 35-year marriage, and the guy's name was Kerry, and we got Kerry, and he spelled it exactly the same way that you do. And it's like that's how my higher power shows up in these little synchronistic ways for me to just be aware. Oh, yeah, but this is everything. This is it. And I know that. So thank you.
Wow, that was great. Yeah, I like that. Expect a miracle, then the next page. Yeah. I mean, when you're in this kind of flow, it's more obvious than if somebody was shouting at you from the rooftops. Yeah. You know what I mean? The subtle uh, connections of things is really a very, very powerful language after you've been a little bit relieved from the bondage. Yeah. You start seeing the synchronicities and shit. It's very cool. I mean, I never witnessed so many coincidences after I got sober. I mean, thousands and thousands of times. That's shit that I would have missed constantly. I started seeing that like unseen hand in the affairs that were going on. And so many of us recognize that. It's like the movement of grace. Yeah, grace is readily available, but the way it's put to much needed use almost gives an ability to see the grace in recovery. Yeah, because of sometimes it has to move mountains in recovery, and then it's amazing to see it to it. Yeah, and know that you are connected to that source, that inner unsuspected resource is now very suspected and relied upon. It's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. So nice to see you, honey. Nice to see you. And yeah, we'll be here. Yeah. So come take sanctuary anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. James D.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like what you've been saying, and I identified definitely with, I've been someone that's, gone through a lot of, Buddhist philosophy and self-help stuff and CBT and all this stuff. And um, you know, sure, some improvements were made, but like you said, it's self trying to fix self. And like the bottom line is that I haven't been able to stay clean and sober. I haven't been able to get more than a few weeks or a few months, and I've got 9 days today. But
Okay.
it's I had similar feelings like resentments towards the program, or this isn't the place for me, or the stat, quibbling with the stats. But this time around, I've really just sort of committed myself fully to it. Like got a sponsor, call each day, meeting a day, steps, and now that the fog has started to clear a bit, it's becoming really clear to me what you're saying about getting out of self by being of service. Got get a serve position, and even when I'm connecting with people, I'm trying to, it's hard for me to reach out, so I'm just doing that. But I'm thinking to myself, probably the best way to go about it is to not so much dump a bunch of my problems onto people, but to try to be of service to them. And my question kind of was like, there's a lot of value to these other things like Buddhism and these therapies and things like that. But I think that probably the right approach for me is to fully embrace the program and fully get that foundation and that service before adding on that other stuff, like kind of leaving that sort of stuff on the back burner a little bit. It's not to say I won't meditate or keep a journal or things like that, but really getting down to the fundamentals of things and really getting out of self. Because like my head tells me, oh, I don't want to talk to this person, I don't want to help this person, I need to work about myself. But just really, like, I have this sense now that I'm not the one running the show anymore. it's something else. You know, it's the suggestions I get. It's what people are saying in meetings. So I think I have the right kind of idea about this, but I just kind of wondered what your thoughts were on that. So thank you.
I think so. I think you have the right kind of idea about it. Yeah. Take care of the elephant in the room or allow something, and then all the bookshelves in the room, you'll be able to read them more clearly without that shadow being cast on them all. Yeah. So when you do Buddhism and the shadow of alcoholism is cast over it, it'll be nice to clear that up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think you answered your own question. Yes. Just
Okay.
yeah, put it, instead of having everything spread out, let it concentrate in this one point, which is to get restored to that sanity, uh, where the insanity that precedes the first drink has been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that established. Get in the habit of being sober. And then when you read Buddhism, it'll be a lot different than when you were trying to read Buddhism to get out of something. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, because how we read things isn't the thing we read, but the condition we're in. So
Hmm.
I got introduced stuff when I was out there using. I looked at it as drugs to get out of me.
Right.
It just was like, oh, the fucking Coke doesn't work. I'm going to use Mahayana Buddhism or something. Really, literally, it was
Yeah.
all the addiction just moved from drugs to spirituality. Yeah. So just, yeah, I think you answered your own thing. I agree with it wholeheartedly. Just, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the encouragement. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem. Oh, that's true. That's the way to go right now, I feel. Yeah. Anyone else? I'm going to start saying goodbye. What a nice meeting today. Michael, Stacy, as always a pleasure.
Hey, Paul.
Everyone
Hey,
in the
Paul, real
Zoom.
quick.
Hmm? What?
I found I found the Joe and Charlie worksheet on the internet, and I put the link in the chat for all those that are interested. And yeah, it sure does. It says it right. You can't see it on the phone, but yeah, it's there.
It has the self on top.
It does, Paul.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, column 4, it says, "What is the exact nature of my wrongs, faults, mistakes, defects, shortcomings?" And then they give you 5 listings, and it's self, selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, inconsiderate.
Yes. And those both inconsiderate and dishonest are attributes of selfishness and self-centeredness, and self-seeking and frightened. Yes. So basically, yeah, self is everywhere. I don't know how we're missing it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was a real that Joe and Charlie really changed me. The Joe and Charlie seminar. That was one of the best moves I made in the first few years, was going there. And then I went a couple of years and then it was enough. You know, I got sort of what I was needed to get. And then I moved on, but it was very valuable. So that's why we pass it on. Everything, it's sort of like we took a bite of it and see if there was some gold in there, then we pass it to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't based on hearsay. This is based on trying shit and then passing it on. So the Joe and Charlie was a marked change in recovery for me, big time, in that first few years. So pass it on, check it out, easy to print them out, yeah, and just do an inventory.
Yeah. One thing that I found about these worksheets for me is that it seemed pretty seamless to be able to go through it, and you just kind of put a check mark there. But I've heard before that, it's not getting to, it's not really diving deep into seeing what's really going on, but at least it gives you an opportunity to get through an initial 4 step,
Yes.
pretty, pretty, accurately. So.
Well, if you want to do more, do the 12 and 12, fourth step.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Doing more may not be necessary. Doing more may be more self. Yeah. There's a fine line. I worked with people and I had to tell them to stop taking inventories because they weren't enjoying sobriety. They were going over every fucking thing. To me, it was just self-obsession being demonstrated. Yeah. So it's you know, this belief that of course, the head would love to have you believe you have to dive deep, but it's very shallow.
That's
Self
right.
has no roots. It's not you. It's shallow. Yeah. It's shallow. It's like an algae on the surface. It's not like fucking, yeah. So of course it says, oh yes, you've got to dive deep to find out. No, I think a simple inventory will tell you way more than enough of how much do you want to know every way self has defeated you, or do you want to know self defeats you in a lot of ways? I would like
Right.
to know self defeats me in a lot of ways, not every special. Yes. How do you get there?
Yeah.
By looking at some of the common manifestations, not all of them, the common ones
Just
will be
right.
sufficient. Yes. So, yeah.
Yeah. And noticing them when they happen and when they occur is probably more influential.
Yes. Well, that's when 6 and 7. Yeah. A muffin tastes much different when you get it right out of the oven or 2 weeks later. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, when you start recognizing self sort of like building up like a tropical storm, and it's going to defeat you as a, category 5 hurricane. Yeah.
That's
You
right.
have a truthful
Yes.
weather forecast, and then you turn it over in 6 and 7 and let all that combustible energy be put to better use instead of the fucking head using it. Yeah. Yeah. We are a pulsating energy, and the head is using it quite a lot against us in a lot of ways. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So maybe you don't have to dive so deep, really. Yeah. Just it took a lot for me to get I'm fucked, but when I got it, it hasn't taken a lot after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't.
And I like I'm a slacker at heart.
I am a slacker at heart. I don't believe
Yeah.
everything demands effort and thought. I don't. I think effort and thought is like, it's like a hammer sees everything as a nail. I don't believe. Yeah. I believe what they describe aren't things we do ourselves into. They're observations of effects something's having on us. Like the higher power is having effects on us, and we observe them. We're not the doer of them. We didn't produce them. Yeah. We're observing the effects of the influence of a higher power, just like we were observing the effects of an influence of a lower power. Yeah. And the contrast is so obvious, it's really perhaps there's only two ways: trusting the infinite, or trusting finite self. It really boils down to that simplicity. That isn't that deep, is it? No, it really isn't that deep. It's either trusting finite self or trusting the infinite. And if you start having a sense of how to uh, recognize that, yeah, then you can participate in your own migration to perhaps there's a better way. Yeah, you can participate in the trip. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, thanks. Kerry, as always, thank you for the reading. Very good. Walter, as always, Bill Churchman, Joseph C. Nice to see you, Joseph. Rico, Maral, Diona, Axel, John in Florida, John K., Terry Camarillo, Terry Bowling, Terry Running, Terry Crying, no, Terry Bowling, Mickey, the matriarch of Madeira, Laurie, nice to see you, Laurie. Roman Mueller, Steve in San Diego, fantastic. Craig B, Oliver, Berlin, Rick Rowe in Canada somewhere. Sean, he's in the fourth dimension. Zoe Banks, she's in Arkansas dreaming of sushi. There you go. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll be here Saturday, 1 o'clock live meeting and Zoom Pacific time at the house here. So, all right. See you. Bye-bye.
Right on, Paul. Thank you.
I missed some people.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
I
Paul.
missed you. I
Thanks, Paul.
apologize. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Love
Paul.
the service, Carrie. Good to see you, man.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks,